They laughed at him, judged him, tried to push him out. But one quiet act of kindness turned the entire room upside down. Because while everyone else saw a man who didn't belong, Naomi saw something different, and what she chose to do in that moment would leave him speechless and change her life forever. That night wasn't just about a free meal. It was about dignity, truth, and a secret that had been stealing from them all. And before the night was over, someone would be exposed, someone would be rewarded, and nothing inside that bar would ever be the same again. The harborside rooftop bar floated above the Chicago River like a glass box of light, its windows glowing gold against the cold November night. Inside, the hum of quiet conversations mixed with the clink of crystal glasses. Men in tailored suits leaned back in leather chairs, their voices low and confident. Women in sleek dresses laughed softly, their perfume hanging in the air like something expensive and untouchable. Everything about the place whispered money. Naomi Carter moved through the room like she had done 1,000 nights before. Tray balanced, steps steady, smile practiced, but never fake. At 34, she had learned how to read a room without looking like she was reading it at all. She knew who tipped well, who complained too much, who needed a refill before they asked. And she knew exactly where she stood in all of it. Invisible, but necessary. Her shift had started at noon. It was now past 9. Her feet ached, her back felt tight, and her fingertips still smelled faintly of lemon from polishing glasses. But she kept moving, because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering how far behind she was on rent. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. At first, no one noticed. Then the man stepped inside. He didn't belong. Not here. Not in this place where every detail had been curated to look effortless and flawless. His jacket was worn thin at the elbows, the fabric faded and creased like it had lived too many years. His jeans were clean but old. His boots looked like they had walked miles instead of stepping out of a luxury car downstairs. He paused just inside the entrance, like he wasn't sure if the floor would hold him. A few heads turned. A couple at the bar exchanged a glance. Someone let out a quiet, amused breath. Naomi noticed the way the man's shoulders tightened. Then Ryan Blake saw him. Ryan stood behind the bar, tall, sharp suit, sleeves rolled just enough to look casual, but still expensive. At 38, he carried himself like a man who believed control was something you never gave up. His eyes scanned the man once, from boots to jacket to face, and hardened. Ryan stepped out from behind the bar and crossed the room, his smile already gone. "Hey," he said, not loud, but loud enough. "We don't serve people like you here." The room didn't go silent, but it shifted. Conversations dipped, glasses paused mid-air. The man didn't respond right away. He just looked at Ryan, like he was trying to decide if he had heard him correctly. The man started, his voice rough, unused. "I just need a seat." Ryan let out a short laugh, the kind that didn't reach his eyes. "This isn't a diner," he said. "You can't just walk in off the street. We've got standards." A couple near the window smirked. Someone at the bar shook their head like they had seen this before. The man's hand tightened around the edge of his jacket. For a second, it looked like he might leave. Naomi stood still near the service station, watching. She had seen this before, too. Different faces. Same moment. People deciding someone else didn't belong. Her first instinct was the same as always. Keep her head down. Keep moving. Don't get involved. Ryan didn't like when staff interfered. It meant trouble. It meant fewer hours. It meant fewer tips. It meant risk. but something about the man's eyes stopped her. They weren't angry, not even embarrassed, not the way most people looked when they got turned away. They were tired. Not the kind of tired that came from a long day, the kind that settled deeper, like it had been building for years. Naomi felt something shift in her chest. Ryan took a step closer, lowering his voice just enough to make it feel worse. "Look," he said, "there's a place down the street that'll serve you. This isn't it." The man swallowed, his gaze dropping to the polished floor. "Please," he said quietly. "I'm not asking for much." Ryan shook his head. "You're asking to be here," he replied. "That's already too much." Naomi exhaled slowly. Then she set her tray down. The movement was small, almost invisible, but for her, it felt like stepping across a line she couldn't step back from. She walked toward them. Each step felt louder than it should have, even though the music hadn't changed. Ryan noticed her first. "What are you doing?" he muttered under his breath. Naomi didn't answer him. She looked at the man instead. Up close, she could see the details no one else cared about. The faint stubble on his jaw, the way his hands trembled just slightly, the crease between his brows, like something had been weighing on him for too long. "Hi," she said gently. "Are you looking for a table?" The man blinked, surprised. Ryan's expression tightened. "Naomi," he snapped quietly. "We're not seating him." Naomi didn't look at Ryan. "I asked him a question," she said, calm and even. The man hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yeah," he said. If that's okay." Naomi gave a small smile. "It is," she said. Ryan stepped closer, his voice sharp now. "No, it's not. We don't—" Naomi finally turned to him. Just a glance. Just enough. "He's a guest," she said. "That's all that matters." For a second, something flickered across Ryan's face. Annoyance, disbelief, maybe even a hint of anger that she had spoken over him. But the room was watching now. And Ryan cared about appearances more than anything. He exhaled through his nose, stepping back. "Fine," he said under his breath, "but he's your table. You deal with it." Naomi nodded once. She gestured toward the bar. "Come on," she said to the man. "I've got a seat for you." He followed her slowly, like he still expected someone to stop him. As they reached the bar, Naomi pulled out a stool. "Here," she said. "You can sit." He lowered himself onto the seat carefully, like it might disappear under him. Naomi picked up a menu and placed it in front of him. Up close, she could see his hands more clearly now. They were rough, worn, not weak, just used. The man stared at the menu for a long moment, not turning the page. Around them, the room had already started to move again, conversations rising back to normal, the moment fading like it hadn't mattered. But Naomi knew it had. She leaned slightly closer. "What can I get you?" she asked softly. The man hesitated. Then he cleared his throat, his eyes still on the menu. "What's the cheapest thing you have?" The question hung in the air between them. Naomi didn't answer right away. Because in that moment, she understood something. This wasn't just about food. This was about dignity. And somehow, without knowing why, she realized that whatever she said next was going to matter more than it should. Behind them, Ryan watched from the bar, arms crossed. Waiting. The weight of his stare pressed against Naomi's back like a warning she had heard too many times before. Don't make trouble. Don't stand out. Don't cost the business anything it doesn't want to give. Naomi ignored it. She kept her eyes on the man in front of her. He hadn't touched the menu. His fingers rested on the edge of it, like he didn't trust himself to open it. His shoulders were still slightly hunched, like he expected to be told to leave at any second. What's the cheapest thing you have? The words replayed in Naomi's mind. Not what's good. Not what do you recommend. Just the cheapest. She had heard that question before. Not often, but enough. Usually from people who were counting every dollar in their head while pretending they weren't. Naomi leaned one hand lightly on the bar, lowering herself just enough so her voice wouldn't carry. We've got fries for $7, she said gently. Mozzarella sticks are $9. Soup of the day is $8. The man nodded slowly, like he was doing math. His lips moved slightly, barely noticeable, subtracting something, comparing numbers. Naomi didn't rush him. Around them, the bar kept moving, orders being called out, glasses sliding across polished wood, quiet laughter rising and falling. The world didn't stop for moments like this. But Naomi did. The man glanced up briefly, then back down. Freeze, he said. Just fries. Naomi gave a small nod. Got it, she said. He hesitated again, then added quickly, almost like he was apologizing for existing. And water. Tap is fine. Naomi didn't write anything down right away. Instead, she studied him, just for a second longer than most people would. There was something in the way he spoke, not just tired, careful. Like he had once been used to speaking differently, and now he wasn't. Long night? She asked quietly. The man looked up again, surprised. For a moment, it seemed like he might brush it off. Say something simple. End the conversation. But something in her tone, maybe the absence of judgment, made him pause. Long week, he said finally. His voice was low, steady, but there was something underneath it. Something he wasn't saying. Naomi nodded slowly. Yeah, she said. I get that. A faint smile touched his face. Not a full smile, just enough to show he understood she meant it. Behind the bar, Ryan shifted his weight, clearly irritated. Naomi could feel it without looking. She straightened slightly, finally picking up her pen. Fries and water, she repeated. I'll have that out in a few minutes. The man nodded again. Thank you, he said. The words were simple, but they landed heavier than most. Naomi gave a small smile. You're welcome. She turned and walked toward the kitchen, her steps steady, even though her mind was anything but. As she passed the service station, Lisa caught her eye. Lisa was stacking clean glasses, her brow slightly furrowed. You serious? Lisa whispered under her breath. Naomi didn't slow down. Just doing my job, she said quietly. Lisa glanced past her toward the bar, where Ryan still stood watching. That's not what he thinks, Lisa muttered. Naomi kept walking. The kitchen doors swung open, and the heat hit her immediately. Oil, grilled meat, the constant hum of machinery. The line cooks moved fast, calling out orders, barely looking up. Naomi stepped to the side, placing her order ticket on the rail. Fries, she said. One of the cooks nodded without looking. Got it. Naomi leaned against the stainless steel counter for a second, exhaling slowly. Her heart was beating a little faster than it should have. It wasn't just the order. It was the look in the man's eyes. She had seen that look before, in mirrors she tried not to look into anymore. Years ago, when she first moved to Chicago, when she worked double shifts just to afford a room with no heat, when she sat in places like this and counted coins under the table, hoping no one noticed. She closed her eyes briefly. Then she pushed the memory down. "Order up," the cook called. Naomi grabbed the basket of fries, golden, hot, steam rising in thin curls. She picked up a glass, filled it with water, added a slice of lemon without thinking. Then she walked back out. The noise of the bar washed over her again. The man was still there, still sitting exactly where she had left him, still looking like he wasn't sure if he belonged. Naomi placed the water in front of him first. "Here you go," she said. He nodded, wrapping his hands around the glass like he needed something to hold on to. She set the fries down next. "Careful," she added. "They're hot." He gave a faint smile. "Thanks." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The man picked up a fry, hesitated, then took a bite. He chewed slowly. Naomi watched his expression change, just slightly. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just relief. Like food wasn't just food in that moment. Like it meant something more. Naomi felt something tighten in her chest. She straightened. "Let me know if you need anything else," she said. The man looked up at her again. There was something different in his eyes now. Not just tired. Grateful. "Yeah," he said softly. "I will." Naomi gave a small nod and turned away. But as she stepped back into the flow of the bar, she could feel Ryan's gaze lock onto her again. This time it wasn't just irritation, it was calculation. He pushed off the bar and started walking toward her. Naomi kept moving, pretending not to notice, but her pulse quickened. She had done nothing wrong, just taken an order, just served a guest. That was her job. So why did it feel like she had just crossed a line she couldn't uncross? "Naomi." Ryan's voice cut through the noise, low and sharp. She stopped. Slowly, she turned. Ryan stood a few feet away, his expression tight, controlled. "We need to talk," he said. Naomi glanced briefly toward the man at the bar. He was eating quietly, unaware. Then she looked back at Ryan. "Now?" she asked. Ryan didn't smile. "Now." Naomi took a breath. Then she nodded. "Okay." As she followed him toward the back, the sounds of the bar faded slightly behind her, and for the first time that night, she felt it clearly. This wasn't over. Not even close. Because whatever she had just started, Ryan wasn't going to let it go, and she wasn't sure she could either. Behind her, at the bar, the man paused mid-bite. His eyes lifted slightly, watching Naomi disappear through the kitchen doors. His expression unreadable, thoughtful, like he was seeing something he hadn't expected to find. And whatever it was, it mattered. More than anyone in that room realized. Naomi followed Ryan through the swinging kitchen doors, the noise of the bar cutting off behind her like someone had closed a lid on it. The kitchen lights were harsher, brighter. There was no illusion here, just heat, speed, and pressure. Ryan didn't stop walking until they reached the narrow hallway that led to the storage room. The kind of place customers never saw. The kind of place conversations changed. He turned sharply. "What was that?" he asked. Naomi kept her posture straight. "I took an order," she said. Ryan let out a short, humorless laugh. "Don't play dumb with me," he snapped. "You know exactly what I'm talking about." Naomi met his eyes. He asked for fries. I gave him fries. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "He doesn't belong here," he said. "And you know it. Naomi didn't answer right away, because she did know what he meant. Not about the food. About everything else. "He's a paying customer," she said finally. Ryan's jaw tightened. "Is he?" he asked. "Because from where I'm standing, he looks like someone who's gonna sit there for 2 hours, order the cheapest thing on the menu, and leave you with nothing." Naomi felt something stir in her chest. "That's my table," she said quietly. "I'll take that risk." Ryan stared at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head slowly. "You don't get it," he said. "This place runs on perception. People walk in here expecting a certain atmosphere, a certain level." He gestured vaguely toward the bar beyond the doors. "That guy messes with that. Makes people uncomfortable. And uncomfortable people don't spend money." Naomi crossed her arms loosely, not defensive, just steady. "He's not hurting anyone," she said. Ryan exhaled sharply. "No, but you are," he replied. "You're slowing down, you're spending time on him, and you're setting a tone I don't want in my bar." Naomi held his gaze. "For taking an order?" she asked. Ryan didn't answer that. Instead, he leaned in slightly. "Let me make this simple," he said. "You keep it quick. You keep it clean. No extra attention, no conversation, no charity." The last word hung there. Naomi's expression didn't change. "I'm doing my job," she said. Ryan straightened. "Then do it better," he replied. "Because right now, you're costing me money." He stepped back, already done with the conversation. "And Naomi?" he added, pausing at the door. She looked at him. "Don't make me regret putting you on the weekend shift." The implication landed without needing to be explained. Hours, tips, survival. Ryan pushed through the door and disappeared back into the bar. Naomi stood there for a second longer. The hum of the kitchen wrapped around her again. Orders being shouted, pans hitting burners, the constant rhythm of a place that never slowed down. She closed her eyes briefly. Then she opened them and walked back out. The bar felt different now. Or maybe she did. She moved past tables, picking up empty glasses, checking on guests, slipping back into the role she knew so well. But her eyes kept drifting back to the man at the bar. He was still there, still eating slowly, like he wasn't in a hurry for it to end. Naomi approached him again, her steps quieter this time. "How are the fries?" she asked. He looked up. "Good," he said. "Really good." There was something almost apologetic in the way he said it, like he didn't want to seem too pleased. Naomi gave a small smile. "I'm glad." She hesitated for a second. Then she made a decision. "Can I ask you something?" she said. He nodded, "Yeah." She lowered her voice just slightly. "When's the last time you had a real meal?" The question caught him off guard. He leaned back a little, considering it. "Depends what you call real," he said. Naomi held his gaze. "You know what I mean." He looked down at the plate. "A few days," he said finally. "Maybe longer." Naomi felt that same tightening in her chest again. She nodded slowly. "'Kay," she said. Then she stepped away. But instead of heading back to the floor, she turned toward the kitchen again. Inside, the line was moving fast, orders stacked up, tickets clipped in a long row. Naomi grabbed a fresh pad and scribbled something quickly. Then she walked over to one of the cooks. "Hey," she said, "we still got that extra burger from earlier?" The cook barely glanced up. "Yeah. Why?" Naomi leaned in slightly. "Can you plate it?" The cook raised an eyebrow. That's not on the ticket. I know, Naomi said. Just trust me. He shrugged. Your call. Naomi moved quickly after that. She grabbed a plate, checked the fries, added a side of sweet potato instead of regular. Then she paused. Her hand hovered over the dessert station. Chocolate mousse. Small portions, usually reserved for higher-end orders. She hesitated. Ryan's voice echoed in her head. No charity, no extras. Naomi exhaled slowly. Then she picked one up anyway. When the burger was ready, she assembled everything herself. Careful, precise, like it mattered, because it did. She balanced the tray and walked back out. The bar hadn't changed, but something inside her had. She set the plate down in front of the man. He froze. That's not... he started. Naomi shook her head gently. Kitchen made an extra, she said. They messed up the count. She kept her tone light, casual. It's either going to the trash or to someone who can actually enjoy it. The man stared at the plate. The burger was perfect. Melted cheese, crisp bacon, fresh bun. The fries steamed beside it, and the small glass of chocolate mousse sat quietly to the side. I can't pay for this, he said quickly. Naomi met his eyes. You're not paying for it, she said. You're helping us not waste food. He opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. His throat moved slightly, like he was trying to find the right words. But they didn't come. Naomi waited. Patient. No pressure. Finally, he whispered, Why? The question was simple, but it carried everything behind it. Naomi leaned lightly against the bar. Because you look like someone who's been working hard, she said. She paused. And people who work hard deserve better than just getting by. The man blinked. His eyes glistened for just a second before he looked down. He nodded slowly. Okay, he said. Naomi smiled. Good, she said. Try it before it gets cold. She stepped back. Watched him take the first bite. This time the reaction was different. Not just relief, something deeper. Something that hit harder. Naomi turned away before he could see her expression change, because she already knew what was coming next, and she could feel it, like a storm building just out of sight. Behind the bar, Ryan had stopped moving. His eyes locked onto the plate, then onto Naomi. And this time, he wasn't just watching. He was waiting. Ryan didn't move right away. That was the worst part. He just stood there behind the bar, one hand resting lightly on the polished wood, his eyes locked on Naomi like he was memorizing every move she made. The room continued around them, glasses clinking, laughter rising, music humming low in the background, but something had shifted beneath it. Something quieter. Sharper. Naomi could feel it. She kept moving anyway. Table 12 needed another round. The couple by the window asked for the check. Someone waved her down for extra napkins. She handled it all the same way she always did. Steady, calm, efficient. But her awareness stayed split. Half on the room, half on Ryan. And on the man at the bar. He was eating slower now, almost careful, like he didn't want to rush something he knew wouldn't last. Every few bites, he paused, glancing down at the plate like he was trying to make sense of it. Naomi didn't interrupt him again. She knew when to leave a moment alone. By the time she circled back, the burger was half gone. He looked up as she approached. I don't know how to thank you, he said. His voice was steadier now, but the weight behind it hadn't changed. Naomi shook her head gently. "You don't have to," she said. "Just eat." He let out a small breath, almost a laugh. "Still," he said, "not a lot of places would do this." Naomi didn't respond right away. Instead, she picked up his empty water glass and refilled it. "Not a lot of places should be like this," she said quietly. Their eyes met for a second. Then she stepped away again. Behind her, Ryan finally moved. Naomi didn't see him approach. She felt it. The shift in the air. The sudden quiet at the edge of her awareness. "Kitchen," Ryan said sharply. Just one word. Naomi stopped. Her hands tightened slightly around the tray she was holding. Then she set it down and turned. Ryan didn't wait for her to respond. He was already walking. Naomi followed. The kitchen doors swung open again, swallowing them both into the bright, unforgiving light. This time, Ryan didn't stop in the hallway. He went straight into the small office near the back. The door shut behind them with a soft but final click. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Ryan stood with his back to her, staring at the desk like he was deciding something. Then he turned. "What did I just tell you?" he asked. Naomi crossed her arms loosely again. "To keep it simple," she said. Ryan's expression darkened. "That's not simple," he snapped, gesturing vaguely toward the bar beyond the walls. "That's a full plate. That's a premium item. That's dessert." Naomi didn't look away. "It was going to be thrown out," she said. Ryan laughed again, but there was no humor in it. "Don't give me that," he said. "You think I don't know how this works? That burger wasn't a mistake. You put it through yourself." Naomi stayed quiet. Because he was right. Ryan stepped closer. "That's $24, he said. Plus sides, plus dessert. You think this place runs on you handing out free meals to anyone who walks in off the street?" Naomi felt the words hit, but she didn't flinch. "It's food," she said, "not a luxury car." Ryan's jaw tightened. "It's inventory," he shot back. "It's cost, it's margin, and you just decided to give it away." Naomi exhaled slowly. "I decided not to waste it," she said. Ryan stared at her for a long moment. Then something in his expression shifted. Not anger anymore. Something colder. "Fine," he said. The word came out calm. Too calm. Naomi felt a small knot form in her stomach. Ryan reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. He tapped the screen a few times, then looked back up at her. "That meal?" he said. "It's coming out of your tips tonight." Naomi blinked once, not surprised, just confirming. "How much?" she asked. Ryan didn't hesitate. "24, he said, plus tax." Naomi nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. Ryan seemed almost thrown off by how easily she accepted it. "That's it?" he asked. "No argument?" Naomi shook her head. "You already made up your mind," she said. Ryan studied her face, searching for something. Frustration, anger, anything he could push against. But Naomi gave him nothing. Just calm. Just quiet. Ryan slipped his phone back into his pocket. "And one more thing," he added. Naomi waited. "You're cut at 9, he said, "not 11. The words landed harder than the money. 2 hours. On a night like this, that could mean the difference between making rent and falling behind again. Naomi felt it. A sharp, quick sting in her chest, but she didn't let it show. Okay, she said. Ryan narrowed his eyes. You're really not going to fight me on this? He asked. Naomi met his gaze. What would that change? She said. Ryan didn't answer, because he knew. Nothing. He stepped back, already dismissing her. Get back out there, he said, and try not to cost me anything else. Naomi turned toward the door. Her hand paused on the handle for just a second, then she pushed it open. The noise of the bar rushed back in, louder than before, or maybe it just felt that way. Naomi stepped back onto the floor. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. She moved automatically, checking tables, clearing plates, responding to requests, but there was a weight now, sitting just beneath the surface. 9 o'clock. She glanced at the clock behind the bar. 8:17. Less than an hour left. Her eyes drifted back to the man. He had finished most of the burger. The plate was nearly empty, but he hadn't touched the dessert yet. It sat there, untouched, like he wasn't sure he deserved it. Naomi walked over one more time. You should try that, she said, nodding toward the mousse. He followed her gaze. I was saving it, he said. Naomi smiled faintly. For what? He thought about that, then shook his head. Good question. He picked up the spoon, took a small bite, closed his eyes for just a second. When he opened them again, something had changed. Not in the room, in him. Naomi saw it. And for a moment, everything else faded. Thank you, he said again. This time it sounded different. Not just polite. Real, Naomi nodded. You're welcome. She turned away before the moment could stretch too long. Behind her, Ryan watched everything. Every word, every glance. And now, there was no patience left in his expression. Only calculation. Because in his mind, this wasn't about one meal anymore. It was about control. And Naomi had just stepped outside of it. The question wasn't whether he would respond. It was how far he was willing to go. Naomi felt it in the way Ryan stopped pretending. Not loudly, not in a way anyone else could easily call out, but in the small things, the quiet things, the things that only mattered if you were the one being targeted. At exactly 8:31, Ryan reassigned 2 of her tables without explanation. Table 12 is going to Marcus, he said casually, tapping the screen at the POS system. Naomi glanced up. They're mine, she said. Ryan didn't look at her. Not anymore, he replied. No argument, no discussion, just gone. 2 tables, 4 customers. At least $50 in tips she wouldn't see. Naomi swallowed the reaction before it reached her face. Got it, she said. Ryan nodded like that settled everything. It always did, for him. But Naomi noticed something else. Lisa noticed it too. Lisa stepped closer as Naomi moved away from the screen. That's the 3rd one tonight, Lisa whispered. Naomi kept her eyes forward. I know, she said quietly. Lisa glanced over her shoulder, making sure Ryan wasn't watching. He's doing it again, she added. Naomi didn't answer right away, because she knew exactly what Lisa meant. Again. That word carried history. Weeks of it. Months of it. Maybe longer. Naomi grabbed a tray and headed toward the bar, her movements smooth, practiced. But her mind wasn't on the orders. It was on the pattern. Ryan didn't just control the room. He controlled the flow of money. Who got which tables? Who worked which hours? Who stayed late? Who got cut early? On paper, it all looked normal. But if you watched closely, if you paid attention over time, it shifted. Always in his favor. Always away from certain people. Naomi had seen it happen to others before it started happening to her. New hires who asked too many questions. Servers who spoke up about scheduling. Anyone who pushed back, just a little. They didn't get fired. Not right away, they just stopped making money. And eventually, they left. Naomi reached the bar and picked up a drink order. Her reflection flickered in the mirror behind the shelves of liquor, just for a second. Tired eyes, steady face, someone who had learned how to survive without making noise. She turned away. At the far end of the bar, the man was still there. His plate was empty now. Even the dessert. He had eaten everything, but he wasn't rushing to leave. He sat with his hands folded loosely in front of him, looking out over the city lights through the glass wall. Like he was thinking. Not just about the food, about something bigger. Naomi walked over. "You finished everything," she said softly. He looked up. "Yeah," he said. "I didn't mean to, but I did." Naomi smiled faintly. "That's kind of the point," she said. He let out a quiet breath. "I haven't had a meal like that in a long time," he admitted. Naomi nodded. "I figured." There was a pause. Then he reached into his jacket, pulled out a small stack of cash. Not much. A few bills, folded tight. He placed it on the counter. "This is what I've got," he said. "I know it's not enough, but—" Naomi shook her head immediately. "No," she said. He frowned slightly. "I can't just walk out of here without paying anything," he said. Naomi leaned in just a little. "You're not," she said. "You helped us, remember?" He hesitated, then gave a small, almost reluctant nod. "Right," he said. But he didn't pull the money back right away. His fingers stayed on it, like letting go meant accepting something he wasn't used to accepting. Naomi didn't push. She just stood there. Eventually, he slid the money back into his pocket. "Thank you," he said again. Naomi nodded. "You're welcome." She turned to leave. "Naomi." Ryan's voice cut in again, this time sharper, more deliberate. Naomi stopped, turned slowly. Ryan stood behind the bar, holding the tip log in his hand. He flipped it open, looked at her. "Come here," he said. The tone wasn't a request. Naomi walked over. The room felt quieter again. Not silent, but aware. Ryan tapped the page. "Let's go over your numbers," he said. Naomi felt Lisa's eyes on her from across the room, felt the tension ripple outward. Ryan pointed to a line. "Total tips for your section so far?" he asked. Naomi glanced at it. $280, she said. Ryan nodded slowly. $280, he repeated. Then he closed the book. "That's not what you're walking out with," he said. Naomi didn't react. "How much?" she asked. Ryan tilted his head slightly. "After adjustments," he said. 63. The number landed like a dull thud. Naomi's fingers tightened slightly against the edge of the bar. She did the math instantly. 280. Down to 63. It didn't make sense. It never did. But Ryan didn't explain. He never did. "Busy night doesn't mean good tips," he added casually. "You know that." Naomi met his eyes. "I saw what came in," she said. Ryan's expression didn't change. "You saw part of it," he replied. The message was clear. What you saw doesn't matter. What I say does. Naomi held his gaze for 1 second longer. Then she nodded. "Okay," she said. Ryan studied her again, waiting for resistance, for frustration, for anything. But Naomi gave him nothing. Just acceptance. Just silence. Ryan smiled faintly. Not kind. Satisfied. "Good," he said. "We're done here." Naomi stepped back, turned, walked away. Lisa caught up with her near the service station. "That's not right," Lisa whispered urgently. "There's no way." Naomi shook her head slightly. "Not here," she said. Lisa stopped, because she understood. "You didn't talk about this here, not where he could hear." Naomi moved toward her locker at the back, her steps slower now. Heavier. She opened it, reached behind a stack of folded uniforms, and pulled out a worn manila envelope. The edges were soft from being handled too many times. The label on the front was written in careful, neat handwriting. Naomi's handwriting. She opened it. Inside, scraps of paper, receipts, napkins, order tickets, each one marked with numbers. Dates, amounts. She pulled one out. Thursday. Estimated $245. Given $71. Another, Saturday. Estimated $310. Given $89. Another, Monday. Estimated $198. Given $52. Her fingers moved through them slowly. Not rushed, not angry, just certain. She reached for a blank receipt, took a pen, and wrote. Friday night. Estimated $280. Given $63. She folded it, placed it inside. 48 pieces now. 48 nights. 48 times she had watched the same pattern play out. Naomi closed the envelope, held it for a moment, then slid it back into its place behind the uniforms. Hidden. Safe. For now. Out in the bar, the man stood from his seat. He looked toward the back hallway where Naomi had disappeared, his expression unreadable again. But there was something new in it, something sharper, like he wasn't just observing anymore, like he was connecting pieces. He adjusted his worn jacket, paused, then walked toward the exit. But before he stepped through the door, he glanced back one more time, at the bar, at the staff, at the system running quietly beneath it all, and whatever he saw, it changed something. The door closed behind him with a soft click, the kind of sound no one inside noticed. Outside, the cold Chicago air hit hard, sharp, clean, unforgiving. The city stretched out below the rooftop, lights reflecting off the river like broken glass. Traffic moved in slow lines, headlights sliding past each other in silence. The man stood there for a moment, still. Then he reached into his pocket. Not for money, for his phone. He didn't unlock it right away, just held it there like he was deciding something that couldn't be undone. Inside, the bar carried on. Nothing had changed. At least that's how it looked. Naomi clocked out at 9:02. 2 minutes past the time Ryan had cut her. She signed her name on the sheet without looking at it, the pen moving automatically. Around her, other servers were finishing up their shifts, laughter mixing with exhaustion. Lisa leaned against the wall nearby. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Naomi slipped the pen back into place. I'm fine, she said. Lisa didn't believe her. You shouldn't be, she replied. That was messed up. Naomi gave a small shrug. It's Friday, she said. It's always like this. Lisa crossed her arms. No, she said, not like this. Naomi didn't answer, because Lisa was right. But being right didn't change anything. Not here, not yet. You ever think about saying something? Lisa asked. Naomi looked at her. Saying what? She said. The truth, Lisa replied. About the tips, about the schedule, about him. Naomi let out a slow breath. And then what? She asked. Lisa hesitated. Maybe someone listens, she said. Naomi's expression softened, just a little. You've been here how long? She asked. 8 months, Lisa said. Naomi nodded. I've been here 3 years, she said. That was the answer. Lisa looked down. Yeah, she muttered. They stood there in silence for a moment. Then Naomi reached for her coat. Get home safe, she said. Lisa nodded. You too. Naomi stepped out through the back exit. The alley behind the building smelled faintly of damp concrete and old oil. A single flickering light buzzed above the door. The city noise was distant here, muffled by brick walls and shadows. Her car sat at the far end. Old. Reliable enough, barely. She walked toward it slowly, her body finally letting go of the tension she had been holding all night. Her shoulders dropped. Her steps slowed. The adrenaline faded, replaced by something heavier. Not anger. Not even frustration. Just wait. She unlocked the door and sat inside. For a moment, she didn't start the engine. She just sat there, hands resting on the steering wheel, staring through the windshield at nothing in particular. Then she reached into her bag, pulled out the envelope. Even in the dim light, she could feel the thickness of it. 48 nights. 48 pieces of proof. She opened it again. Carefully. The papers slid against each other, soft, worn. Each one a moment she had chosen not to forget, not to ignore, not to excuse. She pulled one out at random. A receipt. Smudged ink. Estimated $310. Given $89. Her handwriting was steady. Always steady. Because if she let herself shake while writing, she might stop. And stopping meant letting it go. Naomi leaned back in her seat. Closed her eyes. For a second, the bar disappeared. The noise. The lights. Ryan. All of it. Replaced by something quieter. A memory. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a small kitchen table. A cheap apartment. Her younger self sitting across from a man with tired hands and a calm voice. You don't let people decide your worth, he had said. She could still hear it. Clear as if he were sitting next to her. You decide that. Every day. In how you show up. Naomi opened her eyes. The alley came back. Cold. Still. She looked down at the envelope. Then slowly, she closed it, slid it back into her bag. Not thrown away, not forgotten. Just waiting. Inside the bar, Ryan stood alone in the back office, counting. The tip jar sat open on the desk. Bills spread out in neat stacks. His hands moved quickly, confidently, like someone who had done this too many times to think about it. He paused, listened. Silence. Then he reached for a portion of the cash, slid it aside. Separate. Unspoken. Unrecorded. He didn't hesitate. Didn't second guess. Just moved. Like it was routine. Like it was normal. Because for him, it was. Outside, Naomi finally started the engine. The car hummed to life. She pulled out of the alley, merging into the slow flow of traffic. The city lights passed by her window in blurred streaks. Her mind didn't rest. It replayed. Ryan's voice. The number 63. The man at the bar. His eyes. The way he said thank you. The way he couldn't find the words. Naomi tightened her grip on the wheel. She had done the right thing. She knew that. Even if it cost her. Even if it always cost her. She turned onto a quieter street, heading south. Away from the glass towers. Toward the part of the city that didn't pretend to be anything else. And for a moment, just a moment, she allowed herself to wonder. What if someone had seen it? Not the surface, not the transaction, but the truth underneath. What if someone had noticed? Not just her kindness, but the system that punished it. She shook her head slightly. People didn't see that. They didn't want to. Because seeing it meant doing something about it. And doing something about it meant risk. Naomi exhaled. Then she kept driving. But somewhere, across the city, in a quiet office overlooking the river, a light turned on. And a man sat down at a desk, not in a worn jacket, not unnoticed, but exactly where he belonged. And for the first time that night, he wasn't just thinking, he was planning. The office overlooked the river, the same river that reflected the lights of the bar where Naomi had just finished her shift. But from up here, everything looked different, quieter, controlled. The man who had walked in wearing a worn jacket now sat behind a wide glass desk, the city spread out beneath him like something he owned. Because he did. Ethan Cole leaned back slightly, his fingers resting against each other as he replayed the night in his mind. Every detail, every word. Ryan's voice. Naomi's calm. The numbers. 63. That number didn't sit right. It didn't match what he had seen. Didn't match the room. Didn't match the flow of the night. He had spent years building businesses, scaling operations, studying margins down to the smallest detail. He knew when numbers lied. And tonight, they had. Ethan reached for his laptop and opened it. The system loaded quickly. Harborside rooftop, Friday shift. He scanned the reports. Revenue up. Orders consistent. Credit card tips logged automatically. But cash? Nothing clear. No record. No transparency. Just a gap. A space where things could disappear. Ethan's jaw tightened slightly. He clicked through employee data. Turnover. Higher than average. Exit notes. Vague. Too vague. Scheduling conflicts. Personal reasons. Better opportunity. But patterns told the truth when words didn't. He leaned back again, eyes narrowing. Then he reached for his phone. "Get me everything from the Chicago location," he said when the line connected. "Security footage, back office, last 8 weeks." There was a pause. "That's specific," the voice on the other end replied. "I don't need commentary," Ethan said. "I need the footage." "Yes, sir." He ended the call. Then he sat there, still. not rushing, not reacting, just deciding. Because this wasn't about one meal. It wasn't even about one employee. It was about something deeper, something that had slipped past him. And that bothered him more than anything. 2 days later, the rooftop bar looked exactly the same. Same lights, same polished surfaces, same quiet hum of money moving through the room. But something had shifted beneath it. Invisible, unnoticed. Waiting. Naomi stepped onto the floor at 5:58 p.m., tying her apron as she walked. Another shift. Another night. Nothing had changed. At least that's what she told herself. Lisa caught her near the service station. "You're back," Lisa said, a hint of relief in her voice. Naomi gave a small smile. "Still here," she said. Lisa leaned closer. "He's in a mood tonight," she whispered. Naomi didn't need to ask who. "Isn't he always?" she replied. Lisa hesitated. "Worse," she said. Naomi nodded once. Then she stepped out onto the floor. Ryan stood near the bar, clipboard in hand, scanning the room like he owned it. Maybe he thought he did. He glanced up as Naomi walked past. Their eyes met. Just for a second. But it was enough. The message was clear. "I'm watching you." Naomi didn't react. She just kept moving. Orders started coming in. Drinks, appetizers, conversations blending into one another. The rhythm picked up, and Naomi slipped into it. Like she always did. Like she had to. At 6:42, the elevator doors opened. Again. This time, the man who stepped out didn't hesitate. He didn't pause at the entrance. He didn't look unsure. He walked straight in. And everything about him was different. Tailored suit, clean lines, polished shoes. Confidence. The kind that didn't need to be announced. It just existed. A woman walked beside him, mid-40s, composed, sharp, carrying a leather folder. Not a guest. Not exactly. Something else. The hostess straightened immediately. "Good evening," she said, her tone shifting automatically. "Do you have a reservation?" The man smiled slightly. "I don't need one," he said. His voice was the same. Naomi heard it before she saw him, and when she looked up, her breath caught. It was him. The same man. The one from 2 nights ago. But not the same. Not even close. For a moment, she just stood there. Still. Trying to reconcile the image in front of her with the memory in her mind. Ryan noticed the shift in the room. He turned. Saw the man. And his entire posture changed. Instantly. Professional. Polished. "Welcome," Ryan said, stepping forward. "Table for 2?" The man looked at him calmly. "Actually," he said, "I'm here for a meeting." Ryan smiled. "Of course," he said. "Let me know how I can assist." The man's gaze moved past him, across the room, until it landed on Naomi. For a second, everything else disappeared. The noise, the movement, the people. Just that look. Recognizing, measuring, understanding. Naomi felt her pulse quicken. Not fear. Not exactly. Something else, something closer to realization. Ryan followed his line of sight. Saw Naomi, then looked back at the man. "You know our staff?" Ryan asked lightly. The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he took a step forward, closer, and said quietly, "Yeah." A pause. "I do." The room didn't react, but something had just shifted. Deep, irreversible. Naomi stood frozen for half a second, then forced herself to move again. Because whatever this was, it wasn't over. It was just beginning. And this time, she had a feeling she wasn't the only one who knew it. The air in the room shifted in a way that didn't belong to the music, the lighting, or the crowd. It came from him. From the way Ethan Cole stood, still, composed, completely at ease in a place where 2 nights ago he had been told he didn't belong. Ryan felt it too. Naomi saw it in the way his shoulders squared just a little tighter, in the way his smile stayed fixed, but his eyes sharpened. "Meeting," Ryan repeated, his tone polite but edged with confusion. Ethan nodded once. "Yes," he said, "with your entire staff." Ryan blinked. For a second, just a second, his confidence slipped. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm not aware of any." "You weren't supposed to be," Ethan replied calmly. The woman beside him stepped forward slightly, opening the leather folder in her hands. Papers. Documents. Something official. "My name is Claire Donovan," she said, her voice clear and precise. "I represent Mr. Cole." Ryan's smile disappeared. Naomi felt her pulse pick up. "Mr. Cole." The name landed like something heavy dropping into still water. Ryan frowned. "Mr. Cole?" he asked. Ethan held his gaze. "Ethan Cole," he said. No emphasis, no need. The name carried its own weight. Around them, a few conversations faltered. Not completely, but enough. Ryan's face changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Because he knew the name. Everyone in this building did. Owner. Founder. The man behind every location. The one who never showed up unannounced. Until now. Naomi's breath caught. Her mind raced, trying to connect the image in front of her, the man in the worn jacket sitting quietly at the bar, with the one standing here now. It didn't feel real, but it was. Ryan recovered quickly, or tried to. "Mr. Cole," he said, forcing the professionalism back into his voice. "If we had known you were coming, that's the point," Ethan said. Silence. Not full silence, but enough that it felt like the room was holding its breath. Ethan looked around, at the bar, at the staff, at Naomi, then back at Ryan. "I want everyone in the back office," he said. "Now." Ryan hesitated, only for a fraction of a second, but it was there. "Of course," he said. He turned sharply. "Everyone," he called out. "Staff meeting. Now." The words carried differently this time, not routine, not optional. Naomi moved with the others, Lisa at her side. "What is happening?" Lisa whispered. Naomi didn't answer, because she didn't know, not fully, but she felt it. Something was about to break. The back office filled quickly. 8 people, servers, bartender, host, all standing or sitting wherever they could find space. The air was tight. Heavy. Ryan stood near the front, trying to regain control of something that was already slipping. Ethan stepped inside last. Claire closed the door behind him. The click echoed louder than it should have. Ethan didn't rush. He walked to the center of the room, set his hands lightly on the back of a chair, and looked at them. Really looked. One by one. When his eyes reached Naomi, they paused, just for a second, then moved on. He took a breath. "Thursday night," he said. The words were simple, but they hit like a spark. Naomi felt it immediately. Her chest tightened. Ryan's expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes flickered. "I sat at the bar," Ethan continued, "wearing a jacket that made me invisible. No one spoke. No one moved. I ordered water," he said, "and fries." Lisa's hand brushed Naomi's arm. Barely. But enough. Ethan's voice stayed steady. "Before that," he added, "I was told I didn't belong here." Ryan shifted slightly. "That must have been a misunderstanding," he said quickly. "We would never—" Ethan raised a hand. Not aggressively. Just enough. Ryan stopped. Silence again. Ethan looked directly at him now. "No," he said. "It wasn't." The room felt smaller. Tighter. Ethan turned slightly. His gaze landed on Naomi again. "This woman," he said. Every eye followed. Naomi felt the weight of it. Didn't move. Didn't look away. "This woman," Ethan repeated, "treated me like I mattered." Her throat tightened. He took a step closer. "You offered me food," he said to her. "Not because you had to, because you chose to." Naomi swallowed. She started. But the words didn't come. Ethan nodded slightly. "I know," he said. He turned back to the room. "But that's not why we're here." The shift was immediate. The warmth in his voice cooled, replaced by something sharper, more precise. "Ryan," he said. Ryan straightened. "Yes, sir." Ethan held his gaze. "You told your staff Thursday was a slow night." Ryan nodded quickly. "It was," he said. "Traffic was lower than expected." Ethan didn't look at him. Instead, he turned to Claire. She stepped forward, opened the folder, pulled out a document. "Credit card tips that night," she said, reading clearly. $835. The number hung in the air. Naomi felt her stomach drop. Claire continued. "Estimated cash tips based on volume, approximately 400. A pause. Total. 1,235. The room went still, completely still. Ethan looked back at Ryan. "You told them," he said quietly. The total was 835. Ryan's mouth opened. Closed. Those are estimates," he said. "Cash varies. We don't—" Ethan stepped closer. Now there was no space left between them. "No," he said. The word wasn't loud, but it was final. "You took the difference." The accusation landed clean. Direct. Ryan's face changed. Color draining. "That's not true," he said quickly. "You can't prove that." Ethan didn't respond. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, turned it. The video started playing. Grainy footage, black and white. The back office. Ryan. Alone, counting money, separating stacks, sliding a portion aside, into his jacket. The room gasped, not loud, but real. Lisa covered her mouth. The bartender stepped back. Naomi didn't move. She just watched. Watched the truth unfold, frame by frame. Ryan's breathing changed. That's out of context," he said. "You don't know what that is." Ethan lowered the phone. "I do," he said. "A beat. So does everyone else." Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Ethan looked around the room, at the staff, at Naomi, and for the first time since he walked in, there was no distance left, no separation, just truth. And what came next was going to change everything. No one spoke. The video had stopped, but the image stayed burned into the room like it was still playing. Ryan's face, caught in that moment of quiet theft, hung in everyone's mind. For a second, it felt like time had stalled. Then it didn't. "That doesn't prove anything," Ryan said, his voice cracking just slightly before he forced it steady. "You don't know what that cash was for. That could have been your personal bank deposits?" Claire interrupted. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She stepped forward, placing another document on the table. "November 7th, she said. "Deposit, $1,235. A beat. The exact amount missing from that night's tip pool. Ryan stared at the paper. Didn't touch it. Didn't deny it right away. Claire flipped another page. October 31st. Same pattern. Same amount discrepancy. Same deposit. Another. November 3rd. $890. Again, exact match. Each number landed like a weight. Stacking, building, crushing. Ryan's breathing grew louder. Those are coincidences, he said, but the confidence was gone now. "You're twisting." "I'm documenting," Claire replied. Ethan didn't move. He didn't need to. The room had already shifted around him. Lisa stepped back, shaking her head slowly. "Oh my God," she whispered. The bartender leaned against the wall, eyes fixed on the papers. Jason, one of the older servers, ran a hand over his face like something he had suspected for months had just become undeniable. Naomi stood still. Her heart was pounding, but her face stayed calm. Because this wasn't new to her. This wasn't shocking. This was confirmation. Ethan looked at her. "Naomi," he said. Her name cut through everything. She looked up. "Yes," she said. His voice softened slightly. "Do you have anything you want to add?" The room turned toward her, every eye, every breath. Naomi hesitated. Not out of fear, out of weight. Because once she spoke, there was no going back. She glanced at Ryan. He stared at her. Not angry now. Desperate. Like if she stayed quiet, maybe something could still be salvaged. Naomi looked away. Then she walked. Past the table, out into the hallway. For a moment, no one moved. Then she returned. The envelope in her hands. Worn, creased, real. She set it down on the table. The sound was soft, but it echoed. "What's that?" Ryan asked quickly. Naomi didn't answer him. She opened it, turned it upside down. The papers spilled out, dozens of them. Receipts, napkins, order slips, each one marked, each one telling the same story. "I started keeping track," Naomi said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it didn't shake. About 9 weeks ago, she picked up one of the papers. "Thursday," she said. "Estimated 280, given 63. Another. Saturday, 310, given 89. Another. Monday, 198, given 52. She laid them out slowly, carefully, like evidence, because that's what they were. I didn't know what to do with it, she continued. I just knew something wasn't right. She looked at Ethan. I figured, if I couldn't prove it right away, I could at least remember it. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it felt different. Heavier, clearer. Ryan stepped forward suddenly. This is ridiculous, he said. This is just her writing numbers down. That doesn't mean anything. That's not... It matches, Claire said. Ryan stopped. Claire pointed to the papers. Your deposits, she added. The footage. The POS data. She looked up. It all matches. Ryan's shoulders dropped slightly. Just a fraction. But enough. The fight was slipping. Ethan stepped closer to the table, looked at the spread of paper, then at Naomi. You kept all of this? He asked. Naomi nodded. Yes. Why? The question wasn't accusatory. It was real. Naomi took a breath. Because I knew it would matter eventually, she said. A pause. I just didn't know when. Ethan held her gaze. Something shifted in his expression. Respect. Not loud, not obvious, but there. Ryan shook his head, backing up slightly. You're making a mistake, he said. All of you. You don't understand how this works. This place runs because of me. The numbers, the flow, the theft? Ethan interrupted. Ryan stopped. Silence again. Final. Ethan straightened. Ryan Blake, he said. No anger. No raised voice, just authority. You're done here. The words landed clean, sharp, permanent. Ryan stared at him. You can't just... He started. Ethan didn't blink. I can, he said. Another step forward. If you stay on this property, contact any staff, or attempt to interfere with this investigation, he continued. We will escalate this legally. Ryan's mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. For the first time since Naomi had known him, he had no control. 2 security staff appeared at the door. Quiet. Professional. Waiting. Ryan looked around the room. At the staff. At Naomi. At the papers on the table. No one met his eyes. Not one person. Because now, they saw him. Clearly. The guards stepped forward. Ryan didn't fight. He just stood there for a second longer, then turned and walked out. The door closed behind him. And just like that, the weight in the room broke. Not all at once, but enough. Enough for people to breathe again. Enough for something new to begin. Naomi stood there, still. The envelope open in front of her. The truth laid out. And for the first time in a long time, she wasn't invisible anymore. The silence in the room didn't feel suffocating now. It felt open. Like something had finally been said out loud that everyone had been carrying in pieces, quietly, for far too long. Naomi stood by the table, her hands resting lightly on the edge, the envelope still open in front of her. The scattered papers caught the overhead light, creases, ink, numbers that no longer needed to hide. For years, she had been part of the background. Now, every eye in the room saw her, not just as a waitress, but as the one who had paid attention, the one who had remembered, the one who had stayed. Ethan broke the silence. Thank you, he said. The words were simple, but they weren't casual. They carried weight. Naomi looked up. You didn't have to keep track of this, he continued. Most people wouldn't. Naomi held his gaze. Most people can't afford not to notice, she said. Her voice was steady. No bitterness. Just truth. Ethan nodded slowly. He understood that. Maybe not the way she lived it, but enough. Around them, the staff shifted. Lisa stepped closer, her voice still quiet, but no longer afraid. I knew something was off, she said, but I didn't know how to prove it. Jason nodded from the corner. Same, he added. You feel it, but you can't point to it. Not until now. The bartender wiped her eyes quickly, embarrassed. I thought I was just having bad nights, she admitted, like I wasn't working hard enough. Naomi shook her head gently. No, she said. You were. The words landed differently now. Not comforting. Correcting. Ethan stepped around the table, picking up one of the papers Naomi had laid out. He studied the handwriting, the numbers, the dates. This isn't just evidence, he said quietly. This is discipline. Naomi didn't respond, because she hadn't thought of it that way. To her, it had just been survival. Ethan placed the paper back down. Then he turned to the rest of the room. What happened here, he said, is on me. The statement surprised them. Even Naomi. I built this place, he continued, but I stepped away from it. I trusted the system to run itself. He glanced toward the door Ryan had just walked through. And systems don't fix themselves. No one spoke, because no one disagreed. Ethan took a breath. That changes now, he said. The words didn't sound like a promise. They sounded like a decision. Claire stepped forward again, pulling out another set of documents. We've already started auditing the last 18 months, she said. Every shift, every report, every discrepancy. She placed a folder on the table. We will calculate exactly what was taken, she continued, and every dollar will be returned. A murmur moved through the room. Not loud, but real. Naomi felt it too. Not relief. Not yet. Something closer to disbelief. Ethan looked at her again. Naomi, he said. She straightened slightly. Yes. He stepped closer. You said you kept track because you knew it would matter eventually, he said. She nodded. I hoped it would, she corrected. Ethan gave a small, thoughtful smile. It did, he said. A pause. More than you think. Naomi's chest tightened slightly, because she still didn't know what that meant. Not fully. Ethan turned back to the group. There are going to be changes, he said. Now, the room leaned in. Listening. Really listening. Effective immediately, he continued. There is no more forced tip pooling. Lisa blinked. Wait, what? She asked. Ethan nodded. Tips belong to the people who earn them, he said. If you choose to share, that's your decision, not management's. Jason let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. That's huge, he said. Ethan continued. Second, he said, we're upgrading the system. Every tip, cash or card, will be logged and visible. You'll know exactly what you made every shift. The bartender shook her head slowly. Transparency, she whispered. Ethan nodded. Exactly. Claire added, Any discrepancy over $10 will trigger an automatic review. The staff exchanged glances. Not fear, not tension. Something new. Trust, or at least, the beginning of it. Ethan looked at Naomi one more time. And third, he said, his voice softening just slightly, we're going to make sure the right people are in the right positions. Naomi felt that. Not as a statement. As a shift. Something moving toward her. Something she wasn't ready to name yet. She glanced down at the envelope again. At the papers. At the nights she had written everything down, alone in her car, in her apartment, in quiet moments no one saw. She had never expected any of this. Not the meeting. Not the exposure. Not this. She had just wanted the truth to exist somewhere outside her own head. And now it did. Out loud. In the open. Shared. The room felt different. Lighter. But also uncertain. Because once something breaks, it doesn't go back to the way it was. It becomes something else. The question was, what would this become? Ethan seemed to sense it. We're not done, he said. The words brought the focus back. There's more to fix, he continued, and we're going to fix it together. Together. Naomi noticed that. Not from the top down, not imposed, shared. It was a small difference, but it mattered. Outside the office, the bar lights still glowed. Customers still laughed. Drinks were still poured. From the outside, nothing had changed. But inside that room, everything had. Naomi picked up the envelope slowly, held it in her hands. For the first time, it didn't feel like something she had to carry alone. And as she looked up at Ethan, at her coworkers, at the space where Ryan had stood, she realized something else. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the turning point. And whatever came next was going to matter just as much as everything that had come before. The room didn't move right away, not because people didn't believe what they had just heard, but because they were still catching up to it, to the shift, to the fact that something that had always felt untouchable had just been exposed. Naomi stood there, the envelope still in her hands, feeling the weight of it differently now. Not heavier. Strangely, lighter, like it no longer belonged only to her. Ethan stepped back slightly, giving the room space to breathe. Then he reached into the folder Claire had set on the table, pulled out a stack of envelopes, thicker sealed, intentional. The movement caught everyone's attention immediately. "What's that?" Jason asked quietly. Ethan looked at him. "Part of fixing this," he said. He turned to Claire, who nodded and handed him the first envelope. Ethan glanced down, then looked up. "Lisa Morgan," he said. Lisa froze. "That's me," she said, almost unsure. Ethan walked over and handed it to her. "Estimated lost tips over the last 6 months," he said, "plus interest." Lisa stared at the envelope. Didn't open it. Not yet. Like doing so would make it too real. "You're serious?" she asked. Ethan didn't hesitate. "Yes." Lisa's hands trembled slightly as she opened it. Inside, a check. Her breath caught. "Oh my God," she whispered. Jason stepped forward next. Ethan called his name. Another envelope. Another number. Another realization that what had been taken was being returned. Not symbolically, not partially, fully. The room shifted again. But this time, it wasn't tension. It was something else. Release. Naomi watched it happen. One by one. Each name called. Each envelope handed over. Each reaction different, but all rooted in the same thing. Relief. Then, Naomi Carter. Her name sounded different in that moment, like it carried something more. She stepped forward slowly. Ethan held out the envelope. "This one took the longest to calculate," he said quietly. Naomi hesitated, not out of fear, but because she wasn't sure what she was about to hold. Then she took it. Her fingers brushed against his briefly, steady, grounded. She opened the envelope. Inside, a number that didn't feel real. Her eyes moved across it once, then again. Her breath stopped halfway in. "Is this?" she started. Ethan nodded. "Every documented loss," he said, "cross-referenced and verified, plus additional adjustments where records were incomplete." Naomi swallowed. Her vision blurred slightly. Not from confusion. From something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. Relief. Not just financial. Something deeper. The kind that settles in your chest and says, "You weren't wrong." "You don't owe me this," she said quietly. Ethan shook his head. "No," he said. "I do." A pause. This shouldn't have happened in the first place. Naomi closed the envelope slowly, held it against her chest for just a second, then lowered it. The room watched her. Because somehow, her reaction mattered more than anyone else's. Ethan stepped back, but he wasn't done. "There's one more thing," he said. The room stilled again. Naomi felt it before he even looked at her. That shift, that quiet focus. Ethan met her eyes. "Naomi," he said. She straightened slightly. "Yes, I need someone in this building who understands what this place is supposed to be," he said. She frowned slightly. "I don't—" "You do," he interrupted gently. A pause. "You showed me that the moment you chose to treat someone with dignity, even when it cost you." Naomi's throat tightened. "That's not management," she said. "That's just being decent." Ethan gave a small, thoughtful nod. "Exactly," he said. "And that's what's been missing." The room went completely still. Because now, they understood where this was going. "I'm offering you the position of assistant manager," Ethan said. The words didn't echo. They landed. Solid. Real. Naomi didn't react right away. Because her mind didn't catch up fast enough. She started, then stopped. Her thoughts tangled together. "I'm not qualified," she said finally. It came out instinctively, like something she had been taught to believe. Ethan didn't move. "Let me ask you something," he said. Naomi looked at him. "Who else in this room documented 9 weeks of discrepancies without missing a single detail?" he asked. No one answered. "Who else stood up tonight, without raising their voice, and told the truth anyway?" he continued. Still silence. Ethan took a step closer. Who else chose to do the right thing when it would have been easier not to? Naomi felt her chest tighten again. Because she knew the answer, even if she didn't want to say it out loud. Ethan nodded slightly. "That's leadership," he said. "Not titles, not resumes, choices." Naomi looked down at her hands, then back up. "I don't know how to run a place like this," she said. Ethan gave a small smile. "You know how to treat people," he said, We can teach the rest." The room held its breath. Lisa whispered under her breath, "Say yes." Naomi glanced at her, then at Jason, then at the others. People who had stood beside her, worked beside her, suffered beside her, and now looked at her differently. Not just as a coworker, as something more. Naomi exhaled slowly, then looked back at Ethan. "If I say yes," she said, "things have to actually change." Ethan didn't hesitate. "They will," he said. "A beat. And you'll be part of making sure they do." Naomi stood there for a moment longer, feeling the weight of the decision, not just for herself, for everything this place could become. Then she nodded as she said. The word was quiet, but it carried. The room exhaled all at once. Lisa clapped a hand over her mouth, smiling through tears. Jason let out a low whistle. Even the bartender laughed softly, shaking her head. Naomi didn't smile right away, because she understood something clearly now. This wasn't a reward. It was responsibility, and she was ready for it. Ethan extended his hand. Naomi took it. Firm, certain. And in that moment, something shifted again. Not just in the room, but in the story itself, because the person who had once been overlooked was now the one shaping what came next. 3 months later, the Harborside rooftop bar didn't look that different from the outside. The same golden glow spilled through the glass walls. The same skyline stretched beyond it. The same quiet rhythm of a high-end evening moved through the room. Measured laughter, polished glasses, low conversations wrapped in expensive confidence. But inside, everything had changed. Naomi stood near the center of the floor, her posture relaxed, but grounded in a way it hadn't been before. The navy blue manager shirt fit differently, not because of the fabric, but because of what it meant. Not authority, responsibility. She watched the room the way she always had, but now she saw more. Not just customers, not just orders, people. The new POS system screen glowed softly at the station beside her, tracking every tip in real time. Transparent, accurate, no hidden gaps. Lisa walked past, pausing briefly. "Table 6 just tipped 40, she said, almost like she still couldn't believe it. Naomi smiled. "Good," she replied. "You earned it." Lisa shook her head, laughing under her breath. "Feels weird actually seeing it match up," she said. Naomi nodded. "It shouldn't," she said, "but I know what you mean." Across the room, Jason was explaining the system to a new server, another adult hire in her late 20s, nervous but eager. "You log in here," Jason said, pointing to the screen. "Everything's tracked. Nothing gets lost anymore." He caught Naomi's eye, gave her a small nod. Not exaggerated. Just respect. Naomi returned it. At the far end of the bar, a customer snapped his fingers, not rudely, just impatient. Naomi moved before anyone else could. "Hey," she said calmly, stepping into the space without tension. "What can I get you?" The man paused, adjusting his tone immediately. "Just another drink," he said. Naomi nodded. Coming right up, same service, same standard, no hierarchy in how she treated people. Because she had made one thing clear from day one. Everyone got the same respect. No exceptions. Near the entrance, the elevator doors opened. A man stepped out. Mid-40s, work boots, faded jacket, not polished, not perfect, just real. The new hostess hesitated for half a second. Naomi saw it instantly. That moment, that decision point. She walked over before it could go the wrong way. "I've got this," she said softly. The hostess stepped back. Relieved, Naomi approached the man. "Hey," she said, her voice warm, steady. "Welcome in." He nodded, unsure. "Yeah," he said. "I wasn't sure if—" "You're good," Naomi said. No hesitation, no condition. She glanced across the room. Table 8, best view in the house. It had just opened. She gestured toward it. "Come on," she said. "I've got a great spot for you." The man blinked. "Really?" he asked. Naomi smiled. "Really." She led him across the room. Not rushed, not hidden. Visible. Intentional. Because that mattered too. At the bar, Ethan Cole sat quietly. No announcement, no entrance. Just there, watching. The same seat, the same place where everything had started. He hadn't spoken yet. Didn't need to. He saw the difference. Felt it. The flow of the room wasn't controlled anymore. It was balanced. The staff moved with confidence. Not fear. The numbers matched. The energy matched. And Naomi, she didn't just manage the room. She held it together. The man sat down at table 8, still looking slightly surprised. Naomi handed him a menu. "Take your time," she said. He nodded. "Thank you," he said. She paused for just a second, then added, "Everyone gets our best table." The words settled into the space between them. Simple. Clear. True. Naomi turned and walked back toward the center of the room. Ethan watched her, the same woman who had stood quietly in the corner months ago, now setting the tone for everything around her. Not louder, not different, just seen. He leaned back slightly, a small smile forming. Because this was what the place was supposed to be. Not perfect, but right. Naomi caught his eye as she passed, just for a second. No long exchange, no dramatic moment, just recognition. And something unspoken thank you. He nodded slightly, then looked back out over the room. The city lights reflected in the glass. The movement inside steady and real. And for the first time in a long time, everything felt aligned. Not because nothing had gone wrong, but because someone had chosen to make it right. Naomi paused near the service station, watching her team move through the night. Confident, capable, unafraid. She took a slow breath, then stepped forward again. Back into the rhythm. Because this wasn't the end of anything. It was the standard now, and she was going to keep it that way, no matter what. Because she knew something most people didn't. Change didn't happen in big moments. It happened in small ones, in quiet choices, in the way you treated the person right in front of you. And that was something no system could ever replace. Because in the end, it wasn't the money, the promotion, or even the truth being exposed that changed everything. It was the moment Naomi looked at a stranger and said, "Everyone gets our best table," and meant it. What this story really shows is that dignity isn't something you wait to receive. It's something you choose to give, even when no one is watching. And sometimes, one quiet decision like that can rewrite not just your story, but an entire system built to overlook people like you. So today, pay attention to one moment, just one, where you could treat someone better than they expect. That's all Naomi did. And look how far that went. If this story meant something to you, comment one below. And tell me, have you ever done something kind, not knowing it would change everything? Because the next story might hit even closer to home.